What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now that the Flash Season 8 has ended, we're going to be ranking all of the Flash's main villains. So guys, the last time I did this video was after the conclusion of the DEATHSTORM arc, and at that time we had 14 main villains. Now I'm actually going to be adding 2 main villains onto the list now that Season 8 has ended. Those 2 main villains are, of course, going to be the Negative Forces and Reverse Flash from the last half of Season 8. So yeah, guys, with that being said, let's get started. So at number 16, I have Speed Force Nora. Yes, I still think she's the worst villain on the Flash. Now, I've said this before, I really like the concept of like the Speed Force being a villain, or like, you know, something I would rather have seen instead of like an actual avatar for the normal Speed Force. Well, first of all, the normal avatar for the Speed Force should be Barry, but you know, what I think should have happened would have been like the Speed Force being contaminated, and then that would somehow make positive speedsters evil or something like that, or you know, maybe connect them to the negative Speed Force, something like that. I think would have been really cool instead of actually having Speed Force Nora, because let's face it, she was a very bad main villain, along with the rest of the forces during that storyline. All that was really bad. So yeah, that's why she's down here at number 16. Now, number 15 should not come to any surprise either, that of course being Cicada 1. Now, for in episode 2, he was actually like a really threatening villain. Like Team Flash couldn't do anything to stop him, but then he just kept getting away and he just didn't seem threatening at all. So yeah, he was a really bad main villain, not to mention his really cringe voice. So yeah, he was a pretty bad villain. That of course leads into number 14, which is Cicada 2, aka Grace Gibbons. Now, she was better than Cicada 1, aka Orlin Dwyer, in only one aspect, and that is just that she was a lot more threatening. Otherwise, basically the same thing. Both of these cicadas really were not good villains at all. So number 13 is Mirror Monarch. Now, she wasn't awful. She really was not awful. She was just below average, and I really just wasn't a fan of her storyline. I think they should have had more of a comic book version of Mirror Master or Mirror Monarch, whatever you want to call it. So what I really just didn't see with Mirror Monarch was that she didn't really stand out. Like, nothing crazy happened with her storyline. I mean, yeah, she was threatening in some parts, but overall, you know, when Season 7 came around and we saw Episode 2 with Barry's speed thinking, it was pretty clear that she was below the hero, so she wasn't going to be able to do anything. So yeah, I just really was not a fan of what they were doing with Mirror Monarch. I think, you know, a more comic book accurate Mirror Monarch, or Mirror Master as I just said, would have been a lot better to see. So coming in at number 12, I have the Negative Forces. Now, the Negative Forces were, of course, part of the back half storyline for the Flash Season 8, and I have to say they weren't that bad. They were alright, but they weren't that bad. Now, the reason I have them, like, not dead last, like, just like Speed Force Nora back when all the other forces were happening, is because I prefer the Force as evil. It was way better to see them evil. Dion was a pretty cool character as an evil force. Oh, especially Psyche. Psyche was so cool at being a villain once again. I really wish he stayed a villain, because he was a really cool villain. And yeah, that's just why I have why I don't have the Negative Forces like dead last. Obviously, they're not even close to as good as these other villains. But yeah, I'd say starting right here at number 12, all of the rest of the villains are at least decent. So now at number 11, I actually have DESPERO. Now, DESPERO was a pretty cool villain overall. I think if he got to appear more, I think he definitely would have probably been a little bit higher. The reason he's so low is because Reverse Flash kind of just took over the villain aspect of the Armageddon event after episode 3. So I think, you know, that was the main reason why DESPERO is so low. Otherwise, he probably would have been pretty high, because he was a pretty threatening villain. I really liked his motive for being a villain, you know, thinking that the Flash would destroy everything in the future. So yeah, overall, DESPERO, not a bad villain, just didn't appear enough. So starting off the top 10, I have the Thinker. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably shocked that he's this low on the list, but he is. Now, here's my reasoning. The first 9 episodes of The Flash Season 4, thought he was a great character, great villain. I really liked him. After that, he started switching and like changing faces. I mean, yeah, it was essential to his plan, but I really was not a fan of that. I thought that he should have just stayed in his thinking chair the whole time. I didn't want him to get, like, super OP. I think they should have just, like, rethought his entire master plan, and then I think he probably would have been a way better villain. But yeah, with that said, I'd still say the Thinker's a pretty good villain. Just overall was kind of disappointed with how they were stretching out that storyline of him switching faces. But anyways, let's go on to number 9, which is the negative Reverse Flash. Yes, the most recent storyline that the Reverse Flash has had is coming in at number 9. Now, this is, I think, is undoubtedly the worst main villain Reverse Flash we've seen on the show. And, you know, he's not bad. He's still pretty good. But it's just like, you know, the way they defeated him wasn't a fan of that. I mean, that's not necessarily his fault, but yeah, I wasn't necessarily a fan of that. And he was basic. He didn't really do anything. He didn't have a master plan. He just got brought back by the forces. The forces were basically the ones doing everything. They were orchestrating everything. That scene where he kills Original Thawne, I thought was really cool. Obviously, it would have been cool to see more of Original Thawne, but still, that was a really cool scene. And yeah, the reason he's so low is because he didn't really have a master plan. Like I just said, he just wanted to kill the Flash. That's all he wanted to do. Otherwise, didn't think he was too bad. There was a few times where there was some cringe writing for him, but otherwise, I think he wasn't too bad. So now in number 8, I have another Season 8 villain, that being DEATHSTORM. Now, DEATHSTORM, his storyline was so cool. Everyone thinking that Ronnie Raymond was alive, but in reality, he was manipulating Team Flash and then became DEATHSTORM. I think that was so cool. He's probably like one of the best non-speedster main villains on the Flash, besides BLOODWORK, obviously. But he is very, very good. His goal of making Caitlyn his bride, I thought was a really clever idea, and it just basically, it really, you know, brought back that Ronnie Raymond tension, and, you know, just really brought Caitlyn back into the show, which I think was really cool to see because she's obviously an OG character. So yeah, DEATHSTORM I thought was a really great villain, and yeah, the top 8 now, these are going to be some pretty good villains. So now at number 7, I have the Reverse Flash in Armageddon. Now, just like Despero, Reverse Flash in Armageddon didn't appear enough. That's why he's not higher, but I think his master plan was genius here. It kind of came out of nowhere, but once you realized what was happening, you thought that this was a crazy master plan. He killed Barry as a child, just like he set out to do years ago, created a reverse flashpoint, took Barry's life, which, as I just said, came out of nowhere, which was crazy, and I didn't expect that to happen whatsoever. So I thought his master plan here was absolutely genius, and I really like where they went with that. He was literally manipulating 2 timelines at once. It was kind of crazy, you know, killing Joe, and then in the other timeline, the reverse flashpoint timeline, becoming the Flash. I thought that was all so cool, and yeah, that's why he's at number 7. So now at number 6, I actually have Godspeed. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably don't like Godspeed that much. I definitely understand that, but I think he's actually a pretty cool villain. I really like the time travel aspects that were brought into the show with Godspeed, and yeah, I definitely think they could have handled it better, but the episodes that we got with the real Godspeed, I thought were great. I thought he was such a cool villain. The actor, I thought, was great. And, you know, there was just a few cringe lines that were there for him, but otherwise I thought he was a fantastic main villain. But yeah, the only real flaws I had with Godspeed was that he didn't appear in enough episodes, and we didn't get, like, the best writing for him. Those are the only 2 flaws I really saw. Otherwise, I actually really enjoyed his storyline. I thought he was a really cool villain. So now, starting off the top 5, I have the Reverse Flash from Season 5. Now, this is a classic Reverse Flash master plan right here. Him being thrown in prison and manipulating the future to manipulate the past, which in turn will manipulate the future right back to get him free from prison, I thought was so genius of him. And I just really missed this Reverse Flash. Now, what I'm saying is that this current Reverse Flash that we've been seeing literally just wants to kill the Flash, but this Reverse Flash from Season 5 and the Reverse Flash from Season 1, they just want to escape captivity. They just want to go home. You know, that's what I kind of miss about the Reverse Flash, and which is why I'm becoming a fan of the Wells version less and less. Hopefully they, you know, go back to the Matt Letcher version of Reverse Flash now that the Wells version is presumably dead. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, nonetheless, Reverse Flash from Season 5, manipulating basically everything to be released from prison, I thought was all really cool, and that's why he's in the top 5. Now at number 4 is SAVITAR. I used to really not like SAVITAR as much, but now I see that he's actually a really good main villain. His master plan of killing Iris so then Barry can eventually become SAVITAR, obviously pretty cool to see that. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this SAVITAR. Great speedster villain. He was the last speedster villain that captured, I guess, the magic of the first few seasons of The Flash. I really wish they could go back to that. I think part of that was having a speedster villain for an entire season instead of, like, you know, just this graphic novel approach, which I'm becoming a fan of less and less. But yeah, nonetheless, SAVITAR sits right here at number 4. So now at number 3 is BLOODWORK. Now BLOODWORK is basically, I think he's the scariest villain on The Flash. You could definitely put Zoom up there too for being the scariest villain on The Flash, but I think BLOODWORK just barely is more scary just because of, you know, the horror aspect that he actually brought to the show. I thought all that was so cool, and he was the reason for one of the best episodes of all time, the Last Temptation of Barry Allen, where he's taking over Barry. All that was so cool to see, and BLOODWORK, I think, is a super threatening villain, and definitely, in my opinion, is in the top 3. Now we're just going to go right into the top 2, which should be pretty obvious. Number 2 is Zoom, obviously Hunter Zolomon, pretending to be Jay Garrick and then eventually becoming Zoom and then wanting to destroy the multiverse. I thought was all really cool in The Flash Season 2. And then at number 1, of course, is the Reverse Flash from The Flash Season 1, pretending to be Harrison Wells, creating the Flash in order to have enough speed and a portal to go home. I thought was all really cool master plan, and they carried it on perfectly in Season 1. And yeah, that is my list. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your own list of your Flash main villains ranked. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.